During the Attitude Era, the Hardy Boyz became a standout tag team in the World Wrestling Federation. Although Matt and Jeff had worked in the World Wrestling Federation as unsigned talent previously, it wasn't until 1998 that the Hardy Boyz became popular superstars within the company. Their high-risk style of wrestling, along with their unique look, really spoke to the younger fans of the generation. It's usually a given that tag teams will eventually split up and go their separate ways, and Matt and Jeff Hardy were really no different. Jeff managed to capture the WWE and TNA World Championships, and along with this, he became a popular singles star in his own right. Matt didn't win the big one in the WWE, though he did become TNA champion. I believe Matt Hardy stood out in his own right though, thanks to the creative characters he would portray on television, and what's more, these characters were his own creations. Sure, Jeff had success with the Willow gimmick along with Brother Nero, but Matt Hardy's broken character was indeed the talk of the wrestling industry at one point. While I did really enjoy the broken Matt Hardy gimmick, I equally enjoyed Matt's V1 character that he portrayed in the WWE. I was never the biggest fan of the Hardys during the 90s. I have a crazy appreciation for the work they put into the ring, but I just never got behind the whole Team Extreme thing as much as others did. Matt Hardy V1 was something I really got behind though. I thought this heel version of Matt was done really well, and Matt deserves a ton of credit for making it all come together. Matt Hardy version 1 was a little crazy, a little delusional about his success. He wanted to inject the WWE with a dose of Mattitude, and I felt it was all just great entertaining stuff. Let's go back and take a look at this interesting time period in Matt Hardy's career. So to understand why the V1 character was introduced, we need to look at Matt's heel turn. Thanks to all the ladder matches and high-risk showcases that the Hardy Boyz had put on, Matt felt that the bar was raised just too high, and there was no topping what they had already achieved in these dangerous showdowns. Along with this, Matt said on the Hardy Boyz Twist of Fate DVD that he really believed that he wasn't getting the credit he deserved as the better all-round wrestler of the Hardy Boyz. He felt that crowds warmed up to Jeff much more easily thanks to Jeff's flashier style of wrestling. The WWE was also behind breaking up the Hardy Boyz to let them go out and grow on their own, and plans were put in place to make Matt the heel and Jeff would remain a babyface. Towards the end of 2001 then, the Hardy Boyz started to have some trouble coexisting as the plan to separate the Hardys was put into place. At the 2001 Survivor Series, the Hardy Boyz lost the WWF tag titles to the Dudley Boyz in a tag team unification match, which also saw the WCW tag titles on the line. During this steel cage match, Matt Hardy escaped the cage, which left Jeff alone with Devon and Bubba Ray, and when Jeff had the opportunity to leave the cage, he decided instead to perform a swanton bomb off the top of the structure. Jeff missed his mark, crashed through a table, and thus the Dudley Boyz got the win. The following night on Raw, Matt got inadvertently hit by Lita during her women's title match with Trish Stratus, and on top of this, Matt also inadvertently cost Lita the match. The very next week, Matt also cost Jeff his opportunity at the European Championship, as it seemed that Team Extreme was imploding before our very eyes. After the match, the brothers had a heated argument backstage, with Jeff saying here that Matt needs to stop telling him what to do. All of this bickering led to a match at Vengeance 2001 between the Hardy Boyz, with Lita serving as the special guest referee. Matt tried to get Lita on his side before the match, but Lita reminded Matt that on this night, her job was to call the match right down the middle. So Matt and Jeff went out at Vengeance, and they had, in my opinion, probably their best match against each other. The Hardys didn't just rely on their typical high offense here, they also displayed a ton of holds and reversals, which helped make the match a little bit more dynamic. Along with this, Lita's involvement added an extra layer to the match, where we didn't really know if she was going to help Matt or call it down the middle like she promised. In the end, Jeff got the win, but Matt had his foot on the ropes during the 1-2-3, leading to Matt feeling cheated by Lita. This wouldn't be the first time, of course, that Lita cheated on Matt, but that's for another time. The following night on Raw, Matt Hardy demanded that Lita and Jeff faced him in a handicap match. Matt told Lita here that just like the Hardy Boyz tag team, he and Lita are breaking up. The match went ahead, and this one is also worth a watch. This is full-blown heel Matt Hardy here, with the match starting out as an all-out brawl. Matt got the win after pinning Lita after Lita tagged herself into the match to check on Jeff. Strangely, just as the storyline was beginning to get interesting, it was also totally scrapped. The next week on Raw saw Jeff wrestle The Undertaker, a match that also saw Jeff and Lita take a bad beating from the dead man. Matt showed some concern for Lita and Jeff backstage, and on the following episode of Smackdown, Matt Hardy wanted some revenge for his fallen brother and ex-girlfriend. This led to The Undertaker totally destroying Matt Hardy, sending Matt away in an ambulance. We didn't see the Hardys on TV for a while afterwards, but they got back together on the house show loop. The brothers showed up as entrants in the 2002 Royal Rumble, and just like that, they were back together as if nothing happened. It's important though that we outline this time period in the Hardys' career, as it showed us all that Matt Hardy was more than capable of working as a heel, but it seemed the WWF was not quite ready to pull the trigger on the Hardy Boyz just yet. On the August 12th, 2002 episode of Raw, Jeff had a match with Rob Van Dam, with the winner getting a shot at the IC title. By this point, Matt could be found working on Sunday Night Heat, while Jeff was getting more TV time on the main shows. During this match, Matt Hardy dropped Jeff with a twist of fate and turned heel once again. On the very next episode of Smackdown on August 15th, Matt Hardy showed up. Matt ran down to the ring after a 6-man tag match that featured the Hurricane, Shannon Moore and Hardcore Holly taking on Billy, Chuck and Rico. The babyface team had everything under control, yet Matt still ran down and acted like he fended off the heels. After the match, Matt Hardy told the babyfaces that it's great to be on Smackdown, it's great that he was here to make the save, and it was great to have such a warm welcome from the Smackdown audience. During this totally delusional promo, Matt Hardy, for the very first time, called himself Version 1. This promo here and the promos that would follow are the key reasons as to why I enjoyed the Version 1 character so much. He was a superstar in his own mind, and he was so full of himself that he struggled to grasp the true reality of his actions. The very next week, Matt Hardy done the same thing, coming to the ring to take the glory away from Hurricane and Shannon Moore before bragging about his unbelievable popularity. Matt also had a match on this night against Chavo Guerrero, a match that saw Matt display a lot of arrogance and a lot of pandering. Chavo ended up winning the match, a match that Matt could have won had he not been so egotistical. Afterwards, Matt Hardy said to referee Mike Chioda that this is the biggest travesty in refereeing since Earl Hebner screwed Bret Hart. Excellent work. Matt's newfound confidence managed to get him a non-title match against WWE Undisputed Champion Brock Lesnar the following week on SmackDown, a match that saw Matt take a total beating in the ring. The next week on SmackDown, Matt bragged to Shannon Moore about his great technique during the Lesnar match, telling Shannon that if he studies Matt's work and follows his lead, then Shannon may find the attributes to also one day go toe-to-toe with the WWE Champion. Hardcore Holly interrupted the promo, saying here that he looks forward to teaching Matt a lesson later in the night, and it was here when Matt Hardy first said that someone is going to get a dose of Mattitude. Hardcore Holly got the win by grabbing Matt's tights, and once again, Matt felt there was a great injustice done to him on this night. On the September 12th, 2002 episode of Smackdown, The Undertaker got annoyed when Matt Hardy interrupted his promo, and when The Undertaker pushed Matt Hardy, Matt proclaimed that Undertaker needed a Mattitude adjustment. Matt demanded a match against The Undertaker that same evening, and Stephanie McMahon granted it under the impression that The Undertaker would destroy Matt and keep him quiet for a little while. Hardy had a plan though. He had Brock Lesnar in his corner, a man who The Undertaker was scheduled to face at Unforgiven a few weeks later. Matt ended up winning the match thanks to Paul Heyman bothering Taker's wife Sarah at the time backstage. This episode of SmackDown also saw the debut of Matt Hardy's Live for the Moment theme song by Monster Magnet. Matt went on to defeat the Hurricane the following week. What we have to stop and remember here is that before this new version 1 character, Matt Hardy had been firmly placed on Sunday Night Heat with limited opportunities, and now here he was, a big character on Smackdown that was finally able to show some real personality. The heel turn in 2001 showed us that Matt was very capable of being a bad guy, but Matt Hardy version 1 took it a step beyond with this narcissistic yet funny gimmick. I'm not saying that Matt was in danger of becoming the dreaded Marty Jannetty of the Hardy Boys, but Jeff was always the fan favourite, the one who everybody just loved. Matt's character change helped him stand out tremendously, and thankfully Matt Hardy latched onto the character and made it work. The September 26th edition of Smackdown saw Matt Hardy once again wrestle The Undertaker, however this time he was soundly defeated. Matt got another shot at The Undertaker the following week, and this one saw V1 once again defeat The Undertaker. This one was incredibly fun. Matt Hardy and The Undertaker fought around the backstage area in this no DQ match, and Matt ended up scoring the win thanks to Brock Lesnar. Undertaker though got a little revenge on Matt the following week. The October 17th episode of Smackdown saw Matt Hardy debut his new ring entrance, which included these video overlays. The overlay looked like an early 2000s internet video player, along with some video stuttering included for effect. The cool thing about these Matt Hardy entrances though were these unique Matt Hardy facts that would show during his entrances. Some of these were extremely ridiculous and funny, and it must have took some time to sit down and think of all these little facts. There were hundreds of them. I was worried that I'd have to capture loads of these by screenshotting every single Matt Hardy match of this era, but luckily an old Angel Fire website is online right now, still to this day, that shows all of Matt's facts. Some highlights include Matt eats slowly to savour his food, Matt's fortune cookies always predict success, and Matt knows how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Matt got his very first Mattitude follower, or MFer as he liked to call it, on the November 7th 2002 edition of Smackdown. Shannon Moore worked well alongside Matt, I thought. He was quiet and quite naive as Matt tried to teach him the important laws of Mattitude. Shannon Moore would remain by Matt's side throughout most of the V1 era, giving the young MFer a new role on SmackDown TV. The beginning of 2003 saw Matt Hardy in one of his most memorable storylines during his version 1 days. Matt wanted to challenge for the Cruiserweight title, but he didn't meet the weight requirements. In the run-up to No Way Out 2003, Matt was on a strict diet and workout regime, doing everything he could to lose weight, which led to some really funny backstage segments that also involved Shannon Moore. At No Way Out then, Matt Hardy won the Cruiserweight title in an underrated match with Billy Kidman. Before this match though, Matt ran into Jeff backstage, and in this backstage segment, Matt told Jeff that if he had just stuck with his brother, he wouldn't be losing matches on pay-per-view. Jeff slapped Matt before walking off, but it didn't really matter to version 1. He went out and had a great match with Billy Kidman and picked up the Cruiserweight title along the way. Matt's next big match then was against Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 19. Matt and Rey opened up the show, and Matt picked up the win. A few weeks after WrestleMania, Crash Holly became a Mattitude follower too, giving Crash something else to do on TV here in the process. Crash was kinda given to Shannon Moore, so he was both an MFer and, as Shannon liked to call him, a moron. Matt held on to the Cruiserweight title until the June 5th episode of Smackdown, where he dropped the championship to Rey Mysterio, and what's interesting about this match is that this was the very first time the Cruiserweight Championship main evented a WWE TV show. The Mattitude followers were disbanded when Matt Hardy made his way back to Raw. Christian had been trying to gain the affections of Lita, and on the November 17th, 2003 episode of Raw, Matt Hardy interrupted a highlight reel segment that featured his old girlfriend. Matt had seemingly changed his ways. He was about to propose to Lita before being interrupted by Molly Holly, leading to a mixed tag team match that featured Matt Hardy and Lita taking on Molly and Eric Bischoff. Don't ask. Matt had not changed his ways. He wouldn't tag into the match, and he turned on Lita. Matt got on the mic after the match and he told Lita that he turned on her because she was selfish, saying here she cared more about her own career than joining Matt Hardy version 1. Christian tried to console Lita backstage, which led to Matt defeating Christian the following week on Raw. It seemed like the V1 character didn't thrive as well on Raw as it did on Smackdown. Matt continued working as a heel, and in mid-2004, the Lita and Matt Hardy angle kicked off again when Matt found out that Lita was pregnant with his child. He even proposed to her, properly this time, on the June 21st, 2004 episode of Raw, but Kane interrupted the festivities by saying the child was actually his. This whole ordeal eventually turned Matt back into a babyface, and the version 1 heel character was gone. Soon afterwards, Matt had to take almost a year away from wrestling due to a bad knee injury. Matt never did make it back right after this injury, as the whole Lita and Edge thing happened, and Matt was released from his contract due to unprofessional conduct on social media. I think the first real mistake with the version 1 gimmick was the move over to Raw. Matt was doing some great work with this heel gimmick, especially in the first few months of the character. The WWE also put the character out there as a big part of Smackdown shows during a time when Smackdown itself was much better than Raw. It's a shame that the character couldn't go further in wrestling. I thought version 1 was excellent and Matt played the role perfectly. Matt would of course make his way back to the WWE, but eventually he was back to the Team Extreme stuff, and it took a while before Matt could get creative again with his broken Matt Hardy character. It was way down the line. Version 1 though was a shining example of the WWE giving someone a chance to try something different, and the talent grabbing this idea by the horns and going all the way with it. Matt Hardy said on the Twisted Fate WWE DVD, "I really did want to show people that when it came to the Hardy Boys, I was just as good as Jeff, if not better. The V1 character was so fun. I was full of myself, I was delusional, I was the best thing since sliced bread. It let the people see what Matt Hardy can do on his own."